Thank you so much, Nim. Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce you to my friend and also this amazing person who is Carlos Alberto Jr. So, Carlos, he's an assistant professor at at the Federal Institute of Paraíba in Brazil. He's also a PhD student in analytical chemistry at the University of Campinas, where he did his undergrad studies. And Carlos, he currently works in inclusive green chemistry. He's trying to develop virtual resources to help deaf students to learn green chemistry. And he believes that inclusion is more than a destination, it is a journey. So I'm really happy to have Carlos Alberto here to talk to us about teaching green chemistry to deaf students, a Brazilian case study. The floor is all yours, Carlos. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Juliana, for this kind introduction. Just a moment. So let me share my screen. Thank you all. Just a moment. Share screen. So can you see my screen, please? Or
It's
not?
perfect. It's
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Let us start. Yes, 15 minutes. I will try to be, faithful. Can you hear me? Yes or not?
Yes, we can hear you.
So thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name it is Carlos, and today I will really share with you a little bit about my experience. And maybe the first question that we can ask it is, why am I here today? And the second question is, why do you need to talk about inclusion and green chemistry? Let me share with you my answers, okay? As I said, and thank you again, Juliana, Dr. Juliana, I'm here today because I will share with you my experience with deaf Brazilian, Brazilian deaf students, and also I believe that inclusion is so important because we need to first understand one another, second love one another, and also help one another. Uh, Especially when I talk, about a student with different abilities, more specifically, students from the deaf or hard of hearing community. I believe that the first steps, to invoke and change are always assessing the situation. This is why we are here today. So thank you again, for your presence. Also, creating awareness, and finally, educating authors. So in this introduction, I need to remind to myself that my long-term goal here is really to, how can I say, build, a confident community that can be really equipped with resources and knowledge to best support their deaf and hard of hearing students. Okay, so this is my mission today with you. Let us talk a little bit about my green chemistry journey. Oh, I think I have some problems with my slide. Just a moment. Next. Okay, just a moment. Again. Share your screen. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. Problems with my resources, Carlos, you need to be more inclusive, okay? So let us talk a little bit more about my green chemistry journey. I have a very, short green chemistry journey. So as Juliana said, I am a chemistry teacher at the Federal Institute of Paraíba in the northwest of Brazil. If you don't know this part of Brazil, I can assure it is really a very beautiful place and everyone here is welcome, okay? And in 2017, I majored in chemistry at the Federal Institute of Paraíba. It was there where I was exposed to green chemistry for the first time. In 2020, I had the opportunity, to participate in this green chemistry summer school in Italy. Last year, I became a member of this, ACS student chapter in Brazil, and some months ago, also I became a member of this Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee from the YCN. YCN means International Younger Chemists Network. And now I am here. It is just an incredible moment, in my career, participating, in this green chemistry connections. So let me talk a little bit about the education of deaf people in Brazil. You know that Brazil, it is a very big country with with millions of people, and in 2022 there are more than 10 million deaf or hard of hearing people in Brazil. Approximately 32% of these, deaf people did not attend school, and I'm talking about any level. I can share with you some reasons for the situation. For example, we can find a lack of the understanding of the deaf population, also a lack of the resources, to teacher and interpreters. We don't have really the enough time here to list all the barriers. But I want to say that the government in recent years has been trying, to provide a solution, for the situation. For example, if you don't know, Brazil has two official languages, Portuguese and also the Brazilian Sign Language. And the Brazilian Sign Language is mandatory for teachers in Brazil. But let me explain, because it is so important to understand that the difference between an integration approach and an inclusive approach in my understanding. So imagine it with me that this circle, it is your classroom, okay? Now you are a teacher and this is your classroom. Every red dot, it is a hearing student. Now, every red dot means a hearing student, and every green dot means a deaf student. What is the integration? Integration, in my understanding, it is what we can see in this picture. Your students or my students, our students are at the same place at the same time, but they are not working together or in an inclusive way. Why, Carlos? Because we can see some barriers, between, for example, your hearing students and your deaf students, and probably also between you and me and our students. So when I talk about inclusion, I'm not talking about integration, because inclusion, in my understand, means we have our students at the same place at the same time, and they work together. Do you understand me? I'm so sorry for my mistakes in English, okay? But I hope that you can understand me. Sometimes it is so easy to find integration in papers or in projects, but we are talking about inclusion here. And I will share with you my experience in this inclusive way in green chemistry. So our approach in Brazil, I'm not sharing rulers, I am sharing my experience, okay? Our approach can be divided into 4 steps. First, it is conception. Second, planning. Number 3, action. And finally, evaluation. I will explain better everyone right now. Conception, it is for me one of the most important steps, because here we need need to answer many questions before planning our classes. For example, I will share with you some questions. How to sign a concept in green chemistry? How to be more specifically, how to sign the 12 principles of green chemistry. So believe me, in 2017, we didn't find any paper publication about that. It was really so hard. Now we have this SCR protocol. What does it mean, Carlos? S, it is the selection, C, it is the creation, and R means the revision. In other words, we follow this protocol, the selection of the concept, for example, in green chemistry. And the second step, it is the creation of the sign with its deaf users. And finally, we have also the revision with author deaf people. Okay, now it is more easy. And maybe you can ask, Carlos, why do you need to create a sign? Great question. The first language of my Brazilian deaf students isn't Portuguese, but it is the Brazilian Sign Language. This is why this conception step, it is so really necessary. Okay, let me see. Now I will share with you a little bit uh, about our planning and also our action. Okay, I will talk about them together. After this conception moment, uh, this was my first strategy with deaf students in Brazil. We can divide in survey, case study, visual activities, and evaluation. This survey moment was important because uh, it is so necessary to know the understand of my students, about green chemistry. And also, I needed to share with you that I was working with deaf and hearing high school students. So don't be afraid about my elementary activities because I didn't work, with graduate, for example. So after this survey moment, we prepare our classes because as a result, our students didn't know about what green chemistry is. So we applied a case study after some inclusive classes. And what is a case study, Carlos? It is the method when a professor can really work with real problems. I think that everyone here knows what is a case study. And for me, it is really so interesting because more than just share the principles of green chemistry with our students, we can really show to them how we can apply, these principles in our situation. And to be more specifically, we worked with the problem of the production of banana and its waste. So it was really incredible because they find different solution for this problem. After this step, also, we had the opportunity to work with visual activities. I can share with Bino and I, also, always our visual activities, but it is really so simple. It is a way that I believe that we can also not just help our deaf students, but also our hearing students when we work in not a traditional way, but also use visual activities to work with our students. Okay, okay, 10 minutes. Okay, I will run. And finally, it is the evaluation. Of course, it is a questionnaire when we can really ask to our students about, do you know right now what is green chemistry? How can you really apply green chemistry? And also we can ask about, our approach and etc. And finally, we have this step number 4. It is not just the evaluation of my strategy, but the whole project. Do you understand me? So I can evaluate also my behavior, my school, the interpreter, and etc. Here I will share just one statement, one of my deaf students. Teacher, more than really learn about green chemistry, I have now friends. This is really interesting because when I start my approach, my deaf student is always alone and really sometimes so sad. But after our application, we can see that now we have, how can I say, oh, numbers in English. Uh, we can see that our class, is really more together. And this statement for me, maybe it is the best result because when I, sorry, when I remember my first application with a deaf student, it was really so hard because we didn't have idea how work with them. But now, with this protocol, we can really more than write papers and really participate in different events. We can really help our students. And during this pandemic time, it was so difficult. This is why I will share with you one of the solutions of my deaf students. And now he's sharing. I don't know if I can, okay, maybe, oh, I don't know. But it was a video we can watch together after when, our deaf student is really sharing the solution that his team, find to the case study that we were working. So when I see this result, I can remember why I am a a chemistry teacher, and I can really share something so interesting with you. That being here for me is really so important because if we walk with the wise, I believe that one day we will really become wise. And if we walk in inclusion, we can really be more inclusive. And really being an inclusive teacher, for me, it is a great challenge because inclusion is more than just a destination or more than just a publication. Inclusion is a journey followed by courage and love. So now I have just 2 minutes more. Thank you so much for your attention. I want to really express a very special thank for the Benobinai for this invitation. Thank you so much, Dr. Natalie, Nin, Juliana. We cannot forget that September is a very special month because we can celebrate the Deafness Awareness Month. So thank you so much. I'm so sorry for my mistakes in English. You know that my second language it is French, but I also you'd like to thank you our teachers, students and chapters, and feel free, to drop me a mail at the following address. And really, really thank you so much.
Thank you. That was so excellent. I know personally, I really learned a lot just watching your presentation. So Beyond Benign is especially excited to have you here to present too. So I feel like we need to be thanking you. So we do have about 5 minutes for Q&A. So please do feel free if you have questions to use the raise hand feature on Zoom, or you can just unmute yourself and jump in. And if anyone would like to start us off.
Nim, there was a question in the chat earlier asking to Carlos Alberto if Brazilian Sign Language is mandatory only for educators or the general population as well, as it is taught in the education system.
Oh, thank you so much for your question. It is mandatory for only educators, but when we see our reality, we really learn the Brazilian Sign Language, So the law says something, but when I see the situation in Brazil, we find another reality. But yes, this is why I, speak the Brazilian Sign Language.
Yes, go ahead, Art.
Hi, Carlos. I really enjoy your presentation. My question is, how can we help?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Could you please repeat your question? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
I was just asking, how can we help with your amazing work?
Oh, great question. Oh, now, for example, especially with the International Younger Chemists Network, we are trying to translate the 12 principles of green chemistry for many sign languages. Do you understand me?
Mhm.
Because probably we can find this translation in the Chinese sign language, in the American sign language, but we don't have a place when really our interpreter can find this resource. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
So, and probably I don't know where are you from, but we can really start to find different interpreters and teachers to really, how can I say, create a sign language repository. Help me, Juliana, please. Juliana,
That's beautiful.
interpreter. Juliana is my interpreter here, okay? So this is really my dream, to make green chemistry really inclusive, not just in Brazil, but everywhere. So let us share, this philosophy.
Yeah, I think let's connect because I work at Apple and we actually have a team in South America. So in terms of trying to find resources and connections, I may be able to help you through our international environmental initiatives. So again, I have colleagues who work in Brazil, really familiar with some of the educational systems there, and also uh, connected with some of the higher education institutions there in terms of uh, connecting with the next generation of environmental and sustainability leaders. So yeah, let's connect.
Thank you so much.
And that's why we call it the Green Chemistry Connections. Do we have any other questions? That you can also feel free to pop questions in the chat too. I am keeping an eye on that. Yes, go ahead.
So, Carlos, first of all, can I just say how impressed I am? Oh my God, like amazing. So, as a former science teacher here in the US, one of our biggest problems was engaging and getting family support for any of these types of initiatives. And I was wondering if you faced a similar type of situation in Brazil, or are you finding that a lot of your success is tied also to family and engagement, essentially?
Yes, here in Brazil, if I understand, your question, we, for example, we have many interpreters who can really help us, and also we need to help our family because we didn't really have the enough time to share, but we are working with this project for, I think, since 2017, so maybe 5 years. Yes, but the great problem it is, for example, Brazil, it is a very big nation. So in the same way that you find different accents in the USA, we can also find different accents in Brazil, in Brazilian Sign Language. So how can I really have a, how can I say, repository, because, for example, maybe when I say oi, hello in the northwest of Brazil, it is different when I say hello or hi in the south of Brazil. Do you understand me? So this is really the great challenge, you know, try to be really more, how can I say, understandable for everyone.